Welcome to the Unleash Your Power podcast. I'm your host, Anastasia Jones, creativity mentor, author, and limiting belief gladiator. My purpose is to help you transcend fear, take bold, aligned action, and co-create the life and business of your wildest dreams. The world needs your art now more than ever. And if you're ready to embody the creative force within you, then you're in the right place. Now is the time to make your mark. Now is the time to unleash your power. Welcome back, my loves. I am so happy you're here because I've got stories, okay? I have a story to share with you about this past week. I went on a skiing trip with a group of my girlfriends and we went to Vail, Colorado. And it was my first ever time skiing. All right. Now, for those of you that know me, you may know that I grew up in New England. And if you're not sure where that is, that's okay. New England, the cluster of states in the northeastern part of the USA, Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Jersey is in there too. Okay, so I grew up in New Hampshire, in the snow, surrounded by snow, okay? And so honestly, I'm shocked that this is the first time that I've ever been skiing in my life. It was not something I grew up doing. I later found out that it's not something my mom desired to do. She went skiing once and she was like, never again. And after I tell you the story I'm about to tell you, I get why she would say that. Okay. So I'm just going to give you some context. We love context around here. Okay. Context is queen. Last week, I went on a ski trip with 6 of my girlfriends from around the country. And we stayed in this gorgeous condo that really felt like a cabin. There was a fireplace. There was a whole stack of wood on the balcony that we could use to keep the fire going whenever we were home. Very cozy, pictures on the wall, little trinkets. I mean, it really felt like we were in the woods. And it was a gorgeous condo with this beautiful view. No matter where you look in Vail, there are like mountains and nature and snow, and you just see people skiing on these mountains. It's gorgeous. They even have this downtown Vail Village is what it's called. And it feels like it's straight out of Beauty and the Beast. It's the most quaint town. There's everything there, stores, restaurants, lots of restaurants. That's also where we went to take ski lessons. So let's rewind. We're setting up this trip. We're setting up a trip to go to Vail. We're all in this group chat. I'm not sure who mentioned it, but someone was like, hey, we should all sign up for a group ski lesson. Now, out of the 6 of us that went to Vail, 4 of us were going to take this lesson. The other 2 women had been skiing for years and years and years. Like they are experts at this point. The 4 of us, though, were not. Now, I want to give you some backstory because I have never skied a day in my life. We're making all these plans to take ski lessons, and I am already like, oh, wow, ooh, shaking in my boots, kind of scared because, it's dangerous. I don't care what anyone says. Putting on skis and skiing in the snow, like truly anything can happen. I grew up in New Hampshire and snow everywhere. Like, people kind of are like, how you've never skied before? You literally grew up in the snow. Yes, I know this. I love tubing. I love sledding. I did that every summer till my fingers were blue and I had to put my little hands in my mom's armpit just to warm them up because I thought they were going to straight up fall off. Like, I am no stranger to the snow. But skiing, snowboarding, that's a land that I've never ventured into. Okay. So when we're setting up the plans to do the ski lesson, I was like, okay, let's do this. Like, I know if I don't do this, I'm going to have serious FOMO because my girlfriends are going to do it anyway. So what would I rather do? Not go with them or go with them, make some memes. So I chose the memes. And I'm telling you what, after I made the decision to do it, my next thing was like, I just got to make sure I look cute and I'm as comfortable as possible. Okay. Those are my next two courses of action. So I get on Amazon, I buy this all red, red from head to toe snowsuit set situation. I consult with my friend Courtney. She loves snowboarding. She's so good and so athletic. So I'm like, Courtney, what do I wear? First of all, I don't want to be cold. Like I go straight to my Enneagram 6. I go straight to like, I need to be comfortable. Okay. And I get this whole set all red, head to toe. I'm like, I'm about to snow bunny this thing, right? No matter how the skiing goes, I'm about to look cute. I'm about to do this. All right. So I have all my equipment. It's all red, which is hilarious. And I'm going to tell you why later on. But it's so funny, the color choice for this. I had no idea that red would be. I really only picked red because I wanted my friends I wanted the instructor to find me if I got lost. Like I always wanted somebody to be like, oh, there's Anastasia. I picked it purely not to stand out from the crowd in terms of like fashion. I literally picked red so that I could stand out in the woods in case I got lost or got hurt. I was like, they're going to see me. Okay. So I get all red head to toe. We, show up to this lesson. Our girl Marsha is our instructor. Incredible. So funny. Hilarious. She taught us this thing called slut strands, which is where you have a helmet when you're skiing or snowboarding. You have a helmet, you usually have a hat underneath it. But like these girls be putting their hair just like partially outside of their hat. So I don't know why she calls them slut strands. I have no why, but I don't know why that's the name. I wasn't about that. First of all, I was not trying to ruin these edges on those slopes. I said, now is not the time. I'm not looking for a man. I'm trying to survive. Okay. I'm trying to survive and I'm trying to retain this press and curl as long as I can. So, y'all can keep your slut strands. That's not my focus. So I get bundled. I got hand warmers, gloves, goggles, everything I could need to be comfortable in the snow, learning how to ski. So we show up for this lesson. Marsha's amazing. It's 4 of us. Okay. And she's teaching us the basics. She's teaching us the ropes. And along the way, I start to realize that my love of rollerblading is really serving me greatly in this moment because skiing is so similar to rollerblading, and I had no idea. The weight distribution to rollerblade is similar to the weight distribution to ski. When you turn, it's similar to how you turn on rollerblades. When you stop, it's like you're using the same exact muscles to stop on skis as you use when you stop on rollerblades. So we're like partially into this lesson and I'm like, okay, I get this. Now my only questions really were in terms of skill. Like I wanted to acquire the skill and the technique so that I didn't hurt myself while I was skiing. And Marsha's amazing. Obviously she is as well. She's an expert as well. So she taught me the skills and all those things. By the end of the session, she's like, listen, ladies, you all are incredible. She's like, sometimes I spend 4 hours on a ski lesson and the group doesn't even leave the bunny hill. The group doesn't even get on the bunny hill. She was like, you have no idea. You all are great. She says, I know y'all can take on one of the greens. Now, with skiing and snowboarding, right, these mountains, they have slopes that are color-coded based on skill level. So green is the basic, like first step, the beginner track, okay? Green. And that's where she was like, you guys are ready for that. Listen, I was ready for it. I was ready for the greens. I'm like, let's go. Blue is the next level. That's intermediate, advanced. Blue. Steeper hills. Okay, you go faster, steeper. I was not ready for that day one. The next one is black. Black. It's just like so steep. And you could even have like obstructions in your way, like trees and rocks and all these things you got to ski around while you're going down really fast. And I saw people doing these. Terrifying. Huh. Okay. So then there's double black, which we don't even want to go there. I'm not even going to go there mentally. It's going to be too much for me. So I'm like, green I can do. Okay. So me and my friends, we get on the green. It's 4 of us. Then we have 2 of our friends who are expert skiers, have been skiing for years and years and years. They're like, we'll go with you down the greens. We'll teach you. We'll show you. We'll go ahead of you. One of them was in front of us. One of them was behind us. Actually, it's funny. They were both named Jen and they're best friends. So one Jen was in front of us. One Jen was behind us. And I'm skiing. Okay. And the green hill, the green path, mixes with the blue track in certain parts. And it's only for a brief moment, but it was enough to freak me out so bad. Like, I'm going down this path and it's green and everything's fine and I'm enjoying myself. Then I round a corner, and in order to stay on the green path, you have to cross over the blue path. And it's so much steeper. And people are going so fast, just boom, 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 whizzing by me. And it didn't feel good for my ego when those little babies, I kid you not, these kids start skiing and snowboarding at 2 years old. They are ripping it by me. Boom, boom, boom. These kids, I don't even want to say half my height. They're literally so small. They're babies and they're crushing it. They don't even have little handles. They're just using their little hands to balance them, going so fast. And here I am freaking out. So listen, I'm thinking that it's just going to be a quick trip down this path. You guys, the green trail, the green path took miles. It took hours to get down this mountain. And I don't even know what else to say other than at a certain point, I was terrified. I was so scared. I remember rounding one of the greens, rounding the corner, seeing another blue hill, and being so scared that instead of going down the hill, I just pulled over to the side, stared at the sky and the trees in front of me, my back to everything else, and I just started crying. Hot tears. Hot tears. I don't even know what else to say. It's the kind where you don't even wipe them away. You just let them free fall. And my little goggles were just absorbing them all. I was crying. And I was, let me think of what I was feeling. I was embarrassed. It felt like it was really hard. I was scared. I didn't want to be there. I feel like it was too much. I felt too much. I felt so much. And I didn't know what else to do. It all came out in my hot tears on that mountain. And it was so funny because later on, my friend Jen, one of the Jens, she was like, I saw you go up the mountain and pull over to the side. And she was like, and I knew you were scared. And so I gave you a minute and you just didn't move. You just stared into nothing. She goes, then I came over to you and I was like, is she crying? And then as soon as she said that, she said she saw my shoulders. Sorry. She saw my shoulders just go up and down, up and down. Like I was like, I was like, I bet she's crying. And then she saw my shoulders shaking and she goes, yeah, she's crying. Okay, she's crying. And she comes over to me and she was like, Anastasia. And I ignored her for a little bit. I was like, I can't do this. She goes, it's okay. It really is okay. She goes, just follow me. Come down to me. And then turn. You want to turn. So the key with these hills, no matter what level you're on, especially if you're a beginner though, the way you slow down when you're skiing isn't always going into a wedge. It's like going to the side. Like you ski diagonal all the way down the mountain. Diagonal to the left, then you turn diagonal to the right, then diagonal to the left. That's how you slow down. But it was scary because at some point, you're still going fast. So anyway, I get over that hump, but I'm crying because I realize the only way I am going to get off this mountain is if I get my ass off this mountain. That's the only way I'm going to get to the bottom. That's the only way this is going to be over. I have to just do it. And thank God for Jen. Okay, both Jens, because they were really helping me get out of my head and return to the present and just reminding me like, you already have the skills. Like I was fresh off a lesson. I already had the skills that I needed to do it. Right. But it was just hard. And I was embarrassed because I'm like, all my friends we were all at the same skill level. Like, it was terrifying for all of us. Okay. Even the ones that had skied before, they were like, this is something else. Okay. So I wasn't doing any better or worse than anyone. It was just hard in different ways for all of us. And at one point it was so funny because I was having one of my moments again and I was stopped waiting for my friends to catch up. And two of my friends caught up to me and I wasn't even looking at them, but I hear, Anastasia, we can't stop. Anastasia. And we all collided. And I have to find a way to show you this picture because it is one of the funniest pictures ever. But we are all on the ground, skis tangled. And I just remember falling and being so grateful that I wasn't like that. I was just laying on the ground. And everybody's like, are you okay? Are you okay? And I'm like, yep. Just staring at the blue sky, wondering how I got myself into this mess, wondering how I'm going to get myself out of this mess. And so there was one point where, I don't know, my friend looked at me and she was like, now is the time. You got to dig deep. She was like, ladies, we've got to dig deep. We've got to go deep inside ourselves for this. That's the only way we're going to finish this. And so a little ways later on, one of my friends actually recently hurt her shoulder in a car accident. And she was on the slope. She was skiing with us. And at one point she fell and she was like, I'm in so much pain. And Jen was like, okay, we can try to figure out like how someone can come and get you. Like there's an EMT, there's a paramedic that can come and get you. And I'm standing right next to her at this point, right next to my friend. And then Jen looks at me and she's like, but you, Anastasia, she goes, you got to get down. Only you can get down. She literally looked at me and was like, no one's coming to save you. You've got to get down this mountain. And I was like, there was one hill that I encountered when I didn't even have the strength I rounded the corner, looked at the steep hill and was like, nope. And I unclipped out of my skis and I started scooching down on my butt, holding my skis. And Jen came over and she goes, give me your skis. And she held them while I scooched down the entire length of that hill. Yes, I looked crazy. Did I care? No. And it was funny because I'm wearing red, like I said. And I had no idea when I chose that color that the management staff at the ski company wore red. No one else wore red from head to toe but me, your girl. Okay? So people, the entire time that I'm struggling and crying and wondering what I'm doing and wondering how I can get out of this, people are coming up to me and asking me questions. They're like, hey, so do you know where I turned for that? And I just interrupt them. I'm the wrong person to ask. Or people will come up to me as I'm crying into my goggles and they're like, can you help me figure out how to? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't work here. So it just made it worse for me. So anyway, we get down to the end of the mountain. The last maybe 5-10 minutes, I just was like, listen, I'm going to get down hell or high water. I'm going to get down this mountain, even if I freaking roll down it. I'm getting off this mountain, okay? I'm in pain. I am cold. I am scared. I am terrified. And, I think by the time I got down the mountain, I was so proud of myself for so many reasons. And I'm going to go into them a little later because I came up with 4 takeaways, like 4 lessons that I learned from the mountain. And 4 moments of clarity for me from this mountain, from this experience, and the things that I'm choosing to take away and to keep with me from this experience, which was undoubtedly the hardest, most physically, emotionally, spiritually. It just required so much from me. And I haven't placed myself in a position like that, in an experience like that in so long. It is more than a physical game. This was a mental game. Skiing, snowboarding, outdoor sports, those kind of extreme sports, they are more mental than they are physical. And it's a muscle that we can strengthen. It's something that it's one way that I can grow. I've never put myself in that position before. Yes, I've done hard things. I do hard things every day. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an artist. I'm a creative. I mean, that's my bread and butter, doing things that terrify me. Do that all day, every day. Did that starting this podcast. I do that every week. So that's easy for me. It's the physical requirement combined with the mental fortitude that I learned during this experience in a way that I've never learned before. So we showed up, we went home. One of my friends was like, returned her skis, returned her rental equipment. She's like, I don't need you. I don't need you anymore. I'm going to make a reservation at a spa and I'm going to see y'all later. Okay. Because it was a 2-day ski pass. So we woke up the morning of the second day and she was like, listen, I changed my mind. I'm going to ski with you all today. And we all were on the same page about doing it. We were like, listen, we did it yesterday. We can do it today. And we're going to be better for it. And we're going to be better at it. And so I'm proud to say that day 2 was amazing. Day 2, I crushed it. Okay. Didn't fall once. Had a great time, to be honest. Had a great time day 2. Skiing, remembered the techniques and the skills. Shout out to Marsha again. We took videos. We just were like, right? We took a different path that was less difficult, but still fun. And so here's the tension, okay? And the reality of the situation is that it's scary when you're on the path. In life, in all areas of our lives, right? It can be really scary when we're on our journey and we don't know what's around the corner. We have no idea what's ahead. We're tired. We're cold. We're uncomfortable. We're facing challenges. We feel like no one has our back, like no one's there. There are certain things that really only we can do. People can't do for us. It's part of the human experience, right? And it's so easy to feel paralyzed in the midst of all of that, feel inadequate in the midst of all of that, feel scattered and out of control in the midst of all of that, feel like we can't trust ourselves to make the hard decisions, feel like we are, totally just paralyzed by all of the decisions that we have to choose from. Like what is the best next step to take? I get it. I mean, that's one of the ways, one of the lessons from the mountain, the things that I learned in this experience. And the truth is, the greater the challenges we face, the stronger we become when we overcome them. And when we face our fears and when we learn to trust ourselves in these seasons of challenge and difficulty and uncertainty, we grow and we strengthen that muscle in new ways. We realize what we're capable of. We know what we're made of. And yes, it requires us to dig deep. But when we dig deep, what do we find? We find the gold. We find the diamonds. That's where all the good stuff is. And we see just how powerful we are. And I talk about this same concept too in episode 9, titled The Gamification of Life and Business. Fascinating episode, by the way. Check that out. But these challenges really can show us who we are and what good works we're really capable of. And like I said, it's this muscle that we strengthen when we unleash our power. And we are all about unleashing our power on this podcast. And so what really comes to mind for me is James chapter 1, verses 2 through 4. It says, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers, when you encounter various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces endurance. And let endurance have its perfect result, so that you may be whole and complete, lacking in nothing." Lacking in nothing. So I want to share with you 4 of the main takeaways that I learned from the mountain, from my experience skiing for the first time, that I know will help you as you're navigating this season or any season where you're experiencing challenges or you're uncertain or maybe you feel inadequate. Number 1, you have what it takes. It can be so easy to think that everyone else has it all figured out. I really used to think that. I used to think, oh my gosh, I feel like there's a memo that I just didn't get, but like everyone else in the world got it. And like this happens with comparison when we compare ourselves, but still, it really can't feel like that. But you have what it takes. We're all just figuring it out. We're all just figuring it out. And while I used to believe everybody just, got a memo that I didn't get, that really is just not true. No one can skip this part. In our human experience, no one can skip this part. Not me, not you, not the influencer you think has everything, not the corporate executive, not the celebrity on the cover of the magazine. No one can skip this part. But you have what it takes. You have what it takes to keep going and to figure it out and trust that you can make the right decisions, the aligned decisions, take aligned action. So the second thing is I learned to stay rooted in the present. Every single time I fell, it's not because I tripped. It's not because I hit a rock. Every single time I fell on that mountain, it was because I looked far ahead of me at the hill in front of me, instead of looking at my skis where they were. Every single time I fell, I got ahead of myself mentally, and I was afraid of falling. I said, that hill is too steep. I'm going to fall. And so instead of me, keeping going, I would just fall where I stood. Something would happen and I would fall. The moment I thought about what's going to happen to me down that mountain, I don't want to fall down that mountain, I fell where I stood. And I think there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. There's a self-fulfilling prophecy that we can take away here, and we can apply that to our lives. I fell because I was afraid of falling. I fell because I got ahead of where I was. But later on, I began to tell myself, because my friend Emily, who was on the trip, she was like, I'm scared, but I'm in control. And I was like, I'm going to adopt that. I'm going to adopt that. In day 2, honestly, that's how I finished getting down the mountain. Day 1 was just repeating that to myself over and over again. Every single time I felt like I was going to fall or I got afraid about going too fast, I said to myself, I'm scared, but I'm in control. And every time I would say that to myself, immediate shift in my body, my weight distribution, I wouldn't fall. I didn't fall again. I did not fall again. I'm scared, but I'm in control. And it brought me back to the present, and it brought me back to exactly the place I was in, not down the hill, exactly where I was. So if in seasons of uncertainty and fear, we can activate our power to visualize our success and stay rooted in the present, we have a better shot at reaching it. And so take this quote, take it for yourself. It is a gift. Yes, I'm scared, but I'm in control. And the third thing was all about trusting my body. Trusting my body. And I'm here to tell you, you can do more than you think you can do. I was in the elements on this mountain. Okay, honey. I was in the elements. It was cold. It was physically hard. My body was so sore, like immediately. Okay, there were people skiing so fast down the hill. I'm just hearing these zoom, 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 looking over my shoulder, looking behind me, making sure no one's going to hit me, trying to looking in front of me, make sure I'm not going to hit anyone else. The hills looked terrifying. I was alone. I was the only one who could get myself down. And I just remember thinking, I can't do this. 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 I'm crying. I'm like, I can't do this. This is too hard. This is too hard. This is too hard. I can't. And then I heard this voice inside me. I like felt this voice inside me. And it said, no, we can do this. You just don't want to. I kid you not. I'm like, who said that? That was my first response. Who said that? I think I was just like, my soul, my body was like, no, we can do this physically. This can be done and we can do this. But mentally, you don't want to. So if you don't want to, say, I don't want to do this. Fine. That's one thing. But you got to own it. You got to own it. And this is like the conversation I'm having with myself on this mountain. And I had to face the hard truth that actually my body was up for the challenge. My body was here for it. My body was in the snow, in the skis, turning, getting down. My body was showing up for me. My mind was folding. Okay. My mind was not. And I had to own that. So in these moments of challenge and hardships and unknown and fear, like, can you own it? Can you own that you actually do have what it takes to show up for yourself? You can trust your body to show up for you. Can you own that? Can you own that it's not that you don't have the ability, it's that mentally you don't want to? Can you own that? Can you own that you are powerful and capable of doing the very things that terrify you the most? Can you own that the only thing stopping you is you? There is a saying, and it goes, whether you believe you can or you can't, you are right. And I had to face this truth like I had to face that freaking mountain. I have what it takes. I can trust my body. Yes, I'm scared, but I am in control. I am on this mountain. I can ski down this mountain. There are little children next to me on these skis, figuring it out, having the time of their life. And I'm like, who am I to say that I can't do it too? I can. And guess what? I did. Yeah, it took some tears. Amazing. I learned later on, like, releasing your emotions is part of the journey. It's actually a vital part of it. I cried and I let myself cry. I didn't even care. But when I did it, I felt this like release. And after it brought me back to the present in a lot of ways. And I think our emotions have the ability to do this, and it's a gift. The good, the bad, whatever we want to call it, these emotions, they're really signposts. They an invitation back to the present to work through the things that actually are going to help us advance. We release to advance. Right? Like, swimmers, they have to release the clothes they wear, right? They have to release, and then they swim faster. That's how it works, right? We release to advance. So whether you believe you can or you can't, you are right. And trusting your body, trusting that you can do more than you think you can do is the key. And the last thing is probably one of the most important takeaways from this experience, and something that kept coming up in conversation over the course of that week, and even honestly into this weekend. This is, it's February 11th, 2023. I'm recording this 11th episode. And just before I pressed record, I was having this conversation again with a dear friend of mine. Now, I grew up in the church. I am a Christ follower, okay? There are so many beautiful, loving examples that I take from the life of Jesus Christ as it's written in the Bible, and I apply it to my life because I want to navigate the world like that. I want to navigate my human experience like that. Right? And the enemy, which you can call the enemy whatever you want to call the enemy does whatever the enemy can do to render us ineffective And the intention of this unseen force is to render us completely ineffective, to stop us from taking aligned action and pursuing our calling and our purpose. And I say aligned action because there are many ways for the enemy to render us ineffective. One way is through giving so many options that it paralyzes us from choosing one, deciding, energetically backing whatever we decide, and trusting ourselves to navigate through it. And should things come up, should challenges arise, trusting ourselves to navigate it, right? Trusting that there is a loving source, a source of unconditional love and acceptance that is going to help us along the way. So that paralysis comes when we have so many choices. We feel like we have to choose the right one. There's only one right option, when that's not true. Years ago, I learned about this tool, T decisions and Y decisions. Now, a T decision has a clear yes and a clear no, a clear right and a clear wrong. You know it, you feel it. You're looking down the path and you're like, if I choose this, this is down the path that is not aligned for me. It is wrong. It will hurt me. It will hurt others. That's a T decision. Or you could go to the right and choose life in a lot of cases. Okay. So the T decisions, clear yes, clear no, clear right, clear wrong. Those T decisions in life. But for the most part, life is made of Y decisions, right? You take the path to the left. Great. You take the path to the right. Awesome. There isn't a clear right or wrong. It's what you decide. And then when you decide, the universe rises to meet you and help you along that path, right? So the indecision is a tool that the enemy uses to render us ineffective. Now, let me just overload them with choices. There's also another angle to this, right? Another way that people get paralyzed, may not even think about it. It's by doing too many things, taking too many actions. Just going, and still not really getting them to where they want to be. So there are two ways of thinking about this. Sometimes you can be paralyzed from taking any action because you have a lot of choices. And sometimes you can take action all day, all night, but it's not the right actions. It's not the actions that are aligned. You're just kind of being busy, filling up your time. So this whole indiscriminate action conversation has been happening with me as well. And these are takeaways that I learned were like reinstilled in me on the mountain, because there were times where I was totally paralyzed, frozen. Do I go down? Do I go to the left? Do I go to the right? Where are my friends? How are they? And I just wouldn't move. So think about the things in your life where you're actually terrified to take aligned action, but you know it's time. And maybe you've been doing everything but the action that you want to take because it's scary. Maybe you've been dancing around it, trying to get as close to it as possible, but not actually deciding to do the thing. Oftentimes, you are just one conversation away, one email away, one fill in the blank. Only takes a few decisions. It only took a few decisions for me to finally get down that mountain. Trust my body. Trust that I'm in control. Stay in the present. And if you only remember one thing from this episode, I want it to be that you have what it takes to walk through the season that you are in right now. You have what it takes to overcome the challenge that you are being faced with right now. And it is only there to remind you of your power. The greater the challenges we face, the stronger we become when we overcome them, as we overcome them. Show up for your life. Oh my God, we only get one. Show up for it. You can do more than you think you can do. And yes, you might not know what is around the corner, but if you just follow the path, steadfast, steady, consistent, trust, you will end up exactly where you are meant to be. And my God, you'll have a story. You'll have a story. You'll have a way to support somebody else navigating through their challenges, make someone else feel seen. It's one of the things I love about this group of women. We had a breakfast where we all were sharing what we're navigating, the path that we're on, where it's hard, what we're going through, what's uncertain, what we're afraid of, what we want, what we've got to overcome. And I promise you, no one has it all together. Literally no one. So the moment you feel like you're missing something, just remind yourself, like, that's not true. You're on your path. You're in your human experience and you're showing up for it. And I hope that you finish this episode with a fire in your belly. And I hope that that fire ignites a renewed passion for you to show up for your life in a whole new way, starting right now, to face your fears, to shock yourself with what you are capable of, and to see the good works that you are already equipped to do. I love you. I hope you have an incredible week, and I'll see you next week. Same time, same place. Hey friend, thanks for listening. I'm so happy you're here. If this episode helped you in any way, please take a screenshot, share it with a friend, post it to social media, and better yet, why don't you leave me a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening from? My desire is to activate as many creatives as possible. And if you are looking for additional support on your creative journey, you can always connect with me on Instagram at AnastasiaRJD, or visit the links in the show notes. We've got free resources to reignite your creativity and soul-centered ways that we can continue to work together. I'll see you again next week. Same time, same place.